URC round number 10, folks. A bunch of internationals missing ahead of the Six Nations, but it was still a rather interesting round. The Ospreys smashed Benetton and kept them scoreless. Zebre managed to get an away win in Belfast, and the Bulls took down the Lions in their local derby. We'll go through the results from the week that was, and then how is the table looking. You guys can let us know your thoughts on where the teams are at in this, as I say, 10th round. We're not quite at the point where all the teams are on an even number of games, but we're getting there. It's not going to take too long to catch up. Ospreys and Benetton, if you saw it on the day, it was a Friday, did a full match review of that one, but 43-0 is a pretty emphatic win for the Ospreys lads. I mean, Benetton had a try chalked off early, but barring that, and maybe an Izzy core break before halftime, didn't have a heck of a lot of chances. The Ospreys did really well. Jack Walsh got a couple of tries. Kasende got one. Kieran Williams played really well. Morgan Morse and Kieran Hardy also got themselves on the board. So a big old win for the Ospreys, and the stats back up their result, like 7 line breaks to 3. And, Benetton just dropped a bit too much ball. What a difference a week match makes from going and beating La Rochelle one week to losing away to the Ospreys. Justin Tipperick kind of rolled back the clock and a man of the match performance from him. So, yeah, good news for the Ospreys. That's their biggest win, they said, in something like 7 years in the URC Pro 14 era. So, yeah, big win for them, and what was a good start to the weekend for the Welsh sides, although they kind of went 50-50, but that one was pretty emphatic. Benetton will be frustrated how much ball they coughed up. Turnovers conceded was 22-12. So anytime you're conceding that much ball, you're going to have a tough day at the office. The Lions and the Bulls on the next day, their local derby match, 37 points to 22 in the sunshine in Joburg, looked pretty warm. It's a weird one, isn't it, with the Bulls? Again, different to week makes. Like, the Bulls are definitely a URC team at the moment. They seem less interested in the Champions Cup. They just look a different team in the URC. But to be fair, they had to come back in this one. It was an 11-10 lead to the Lions at halftime. Van Fake got one in the first half for the Lions, but they'd been largely kind of keeping the scoreboard over by kicking penalties. David Creel got one with, that one was a bit of a bonkers try. Sergio Peterson chasing a kick and then offload to David Creel for their first one. And then it was a kind of second half blitz. Corbus Visa after like 10 phases. Marcel Kutsia, then Aka van der Merwe from a maul. So it's a bonus point for the Bulls guys, as I said, pulling it out from a deficit at halftime, albeit a 1.1 to win the game pretty comfortably in the end. Lions props probably conceded a few too many penalties. Cameron Honeycomb still seems a bit of a beast. Beat 5 defenders and had 80 run meters, which is not half bad for a loose forward. But, yeah, always a nice one to get a win over your rivals. And, Bulls back to winning ways. Scarlets and Edinburgh was always going to be an interesting one, because neither of these sides has been that flash in the URC this year, but they're both floating in that kind of bottom of the playoffs region. So it'll be a nice one to get for either side, and it's the Scarlets who get it done, 30 points to 24. Scarlets unable to pick up a bonus point. They kept the scoreboard ticking over from the boot of Johan Lloyd, who picked up 3 conversions and 3 penalties, so helped them on their way to victory. But 3 tries, it was Van der Merwe, McLeod and Nicholas who got their 3. The Edinburgh lads did score the bonus point try, but just the 2 conversions means they end up losing this one. The Scarlets potentially could have chased the bonus point at the death, but ended up going for a late penalty. I guess the scoreline was close enough that they didn't want to risk the Edinburgh guys going length of the field and potentially pinching a win. So it's the 4 points rather than 5 for the Scarlets. I mean, both sides had yellow cards. Edinburgh had a really nice looking try chalked off for a forward pass, but yeah, close game. And again, kind of like the first one with the Benetton guys, the turnovers conceded is 14-6. So Edinburgh will be ruining a little bit of dropped ball. Leinster and the Stormers also did a full match review of that one. Leinster without a heap of players, but with the return of Dan Sheehan, certainly looked the business. That guy's been out of rugby for so long, but hit the ground like he just played last week, didn't he? Unbelievable stuff from him. He scores a couple of tries. Andrew Osborne gets a couple as well. He looks the business for a very young man. And then Geordie Barrett also got himself on the scoreboard. Him and the likes of Slimani And Snyman certainly seemed to gel well with some of these kind of Leinster youngsters. And the Stormers, they just looked a bit disorganised. It's a little bit frustrating. Like, I know Leinster away is a very tough prospect, but the Stormers, given how many players are with the Irish squad, probably needed to do better than 36-12. Loader and Roos got their 2 tries, but again, coughing up too much ball, 17 turnovers conceded to 12. And Leinster had the majority of the possession and the territory. So to cough up so much more ball when you had so much less ball to start with is a concerning one for the Stormers. James Lowe and Dan Sheehan both got some decent minutes under their belt, which is pleasing. Lowe had 96 metres, Sheehan had like 49. So, yeah, good ahead of the Six Nations for Ireland to see those guys shake off a bit of rust and play themselves potentially into a bit of form. Cardiff and the Sharks. The Cardiff guys have been doing pretty well in the URC, but the Sharks, who are a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team at times, the Sharks showed up for this one, 42 points to 22. Seemed like probably the best crowd in Wales this weekend. And as I said, Cardiff have been a good watch this year, so people got out to watch them. But both sides missing a few players. 42-22 is pretty emphatic. I know this guy, Tom Bowen, he looked the business for Cardiff. He got a couple of tries and showed some real gas. 10 defenders beaten, 100-plus run meters is pretty emphatic. But Mbonambi, 2 tries. Lorenzo Julius, he looks the real business for the Box, potentially in the future. But for the Sharks at the moment, he looks the business. He got 1 try, Mapimpi got 1, Fenter got 1, Pinkler got 1. I mean, the cross-kick one for Mapimpi's score was a bit embarrassing for Cardiff. They were kind of at 6s and 7s in the backfield, but yeah, Hammer Webb got 1 for Cardiff, so that was at least a bonus point try. But other than the 4 tries, it is the Sharks who walk away with the 5 points from this one. The penalty count ended up being pretty horrendous. 10-3 is always going to make it a bit of a harder day at the office if you're conceding more than double your opponent. The Dragons in Munster, again, there's a full match review up for that one, but 38-19. Dragons really paid the price for a quick-fire flurry of tries from the Munster guys. Kendellen on 17 minutes, O'Connor on 19 minutes, and a penalty try on 20 minutes. You can't be doing that. I mean, Dragons outscored Munster in the second half, which is a little bit concerning for Munster, but you've also got to keep in mind that Munster at one point had 10 forwards on the field because of 6-2 split and guys going off meant that there were guys playing in all kinds of weird positions. But yeah, if the Dragons don't have that meltdown in the middle of the game, where the Munster guys looked slick, but without that period, this is a proper game. But in the end of it, it's 38-19, which is comfortable enough for the Munster guys that walk away with an away win. It's a bonus point win, hopefully with a bit of a time off. Now the injury guys will recover in not too long. I mentioned a lot of injuries, like Basham went off early, Martinez went off early for the Dragons, and Munster, God, who didn't go off in that game? There were a lot of disruptions. Glasgow and Connacht, they played out a close one, 22 points to 19. Cancellieri bagged a double for Glasgow, and CARvSHA got 1, which started with one of the front rowers having a line break, but Ashfar was able to kind of finish it off. And Connacht a couple to Hawkshaw and 1 to Piers O'Connor. 17-5 at half-time. So again, the second half goes to the losing side, but not quite enough. And again, turnovers conceded 17-9. I mean, Connacht had 6 line breaks to Glasgow's 4, so they certainly showed some slick play, but you can't be coughing up that much ball. And I guess chasing down such a big lead. I mean, the Hawkshaw one, the first one was a little bit fortuitous from a charge down, but you make your own luck. The second one was some great hands from the Connacht lads, and then I guess Cancellieri's second was also kind of an ugly one as well, but yeah, they all count. They all count the same. It's a losing bonus point for Connacht, but to be honest, their season is not going that flash in the URC. And then the last one, Ulster and Zebre. Goodness me, I didn't see that coming. It's pretty damning for Ulster's season at the moment, isn't it? That would have been, I mean, bankable 5 points. Basically every season I've been watching this comp. 15-14. It was 15-0. So Ulster did kind of almost come back from this one. They have their own Barrett, and Corey Barrett, the bloody replacement prop, came on and scored 2 tries for Ulster. Maybe they need more Barretts. Maybe we need to ship Bodie or Scotty, because Geordie seems to be having fun over in Ireland. But yeah, 2 tries to your reserve prop is not what you expect. You don't expect to be nilled at home at halftime by Zebre. For Zebre, Stavile got one on 47 minutes and Dare got one on 50. It was a 3-0 lead at halftime, so pretty low scoring. Gonzalo Garcia got a couple of try assists and man of the match, I believe, for the Zebre lads. But yeah, Zebre made 209 tackles to 112, so something of a defensive shift. Again, the side that loses coughs up a lot more ball. 17 turnovers conceded to 13. Zebre, despite having less ball, have 5 line breaks to 3. Boos from the crowd at the end of that one from the Ulster fans. That is certainly a very disappointing one. How do things stand after 10 rounds? Leinster is top. They are 10 from 10 on 48 points, so more than 10 points away from the nearest side, which is Glasgow, who are 7-3 on 37, and even they are substantially clear of the Bulls, who are 6-2 on 30 points. Remember, the Bulls have only played 8 games. The top 2 sides have both played 10. The Sharks have played 9. They're in 4th, 6-3. And then you've got a couple of Welsh sides, Cardiff and the Scarlets, on 29 and 27 points. Munster and Edinburgh make out the remainder of the playoff sides, but then just outside the playoffs, because Edinburgh's in 8th on 24, you got Ulster 23, Benetton 23, Ospreys 22, Stormers 21. Remember, the Stormers have still got a game in hand on many of the sides above them. Even the Lions on 19 points have got 2 games in hand on many of those sides as well. Connacht's kind of languishing on 19 points as well after 10, and then Zebre is fairly well above the Dragons, but still the second bottom side. URC takes a wee break now until mid-February, although we do have a week 1 match between the Stormers and the Bulls on the 9th of February to look forward to, which is one of the games that will bring the South African sides a bit closer in line with everybody else, because they are still a few games behind. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on URC round number 10. Can you see anybody beating Leinster at the moment? Because like I said, even their B side seemed to be pretty bloody good. Can the Bulls do something this year? Because I said they do look a lot better in the URC than they do in the Champions Cup. And how far can some of these Welsh sides go? Do you see them in the playoffs come the end of the season, or do you think they will kind of taper off? You guys let us know your thoughts, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.